Everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. A pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dr. Bin, for inviting me. And yes, besides all the battle scars I have in my journey from the time I first landed in the US to where I am today, um, mentors are key. Dr. Bin has been a mentor to me, and the foundational years of my journey is because of the dedication of teachers like Dr. Bin and the university I went to. So thank you. You are a big part of my professional life. Um, I think the way I want to run today's session is talk about the practical experiences. I have been on both sides. I have been um, a job applicant. I have been someone who desperately wanted to land a job for a variety of reasons. One, prove that I'm good enough to get into the computer science field. Uh, Save my status in the country. Most of us have to think about that as well. But most importantly, right, how do the early parts of our job search journey influence our future? And I'm ready to cover all of that here. But I have a question here, right? What's the one thing you are most excited about as you start your career search? Anybody wants to, chime in and talk about their excitement? I see smile and happy
I'll
face.
go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say something here. So I started just teaching in the teaching field just a couple of years ago. I teach in high school, and then I just teach adult education at the community college. And then I taught myself how to code, just basic JavaScript, Python, web development. And I would love to teach at the community college levels, like a web design class or whatnot. So that's really why I'm kind of just looking into getting, uh, an education in software engineering.
Good. Anybody else? I think this actually goes to my very first slide, which is the mindset. If any of you need to break through the job market and excel in getting the job that you're looking for, there is a huge need to really change the mindset. And mindset plays a very, very big role in how you approach the job requirement, how you interview, what is your body language, and be confident, right? So I think the major part is, if you have to be successful in any job, whether it's applying for AI-based data science jobs or sales jobs or technical product marketing jobs, everything boils down to, do we have the mindset to approach this marketplace? And I've seen a lot of students struggle with creating that right mindset. What is most important is, if you basically start thinking about getting into the job market, the first thing is, you have to believe in yourself that you will land a job. You have to believe in yourself. The knowledge and the education that has been imparted by your university, by your department, is relevant. And the second part is basically to start thinking about projecting yourself as a constant learner. Um, and this needs to come into the style you speak. This needs to get reflected in your resume, and we'll talk more about that. And finally, it's the self-motivation, right? I have been in mentoring students where they went all the way till the first 6, 7 rounds of interview, and the very last stage, they were told that they were rejected. Okay. Um, it is an isolated process, unlike um, uh, getting into the university program for your masters, where you can build your team and your friends, and you can study together in the library. Unfortunately, job search is a very lonely job. And what that means is you all need to be super self-motivated. Um, and consistency is very important than excellence here. How many of you are today, actively looking for a job, and how much time does are you spending in a job search? Uh, Anybody? Is that 1 hour? Is that 2 hours a day? Is that once a week?
Yeah, for me, I think I will spend 3 hours a day to do the job search.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
a typical person, and this is I'm talking about, um, actively looking for a job, is spending around 7 to 8 hours in a day. Okay, and I'll go through the process of how and why it takes 7 to 8 hours a day um, to do an outreach. Okay, um, if you're looking for while you are applying for a job, it is very important that you're also learning. Okay. Um, Look at opportunities, like you come across a job search and you find that 80% of your knowledge is relevant, but there is that 20% that is remaining. If you can find an online quick course, or you can find a book, or you can find a thesis that will allow you to talk a little bit more about the knowledge that you don't have, you would have taken us one step closer to getting that job. Imagine the job search cycle is typically a 3 to 4 month cycle. From the time you apply till the time you get the job, you have about 3 to 4 months. Now, if you plan it well, you will have a cascading effect of various jobs in your cycle. Okay. And I find that many of us become very emotional uh, about um, about the job search process. It is no different than you applying to universities when you wanted to go to grad school. It's no different than you basically getting shortlisted for various programs. So I strongly encourage, the first thing is basically starting to think about how to change the mindset. Start putting a plan together. I have some very effective tools that I can share with you, but start thinking about how you can build on your portfolio. Okay. Um, this slide is talking about what job to look for. Okay. Many times, students and recent graduates have come to us and said, I want to be in AI, or I want to do data science. But you might not be perfectly qualified to do that. Or maybe it is the tailwinds are blowing in that particular keyword, but you're not really motivated. So I think the first thing that you need to start thinking about doing is doing your own self assessment. Are you a person who is naturally attracted to innovating? You're naturally attracted to building something, problem solving. If that's your DNA and that's what you like and enjoy, the technical side of the job becomes very relevant to you. But if you're someone that basically is not into sitting at your desk and programming for 8, 9, 10 hours, and you are more want to use your social skills along with your technical skills, there are a lot of opportunities now that never existed when I was your age. And those jobs are around pre-sales engineers. Those jobs are around technical product marketing management. These are jobs where, you know, individuals will have to unpack the complexity of technology and explain it in layman's language to the customers, to the partners, and to the community who is looking to use that technology of that company. So I think first thing first, my recommendation is to really go through your assessment. What are your core skills? What are your interactive skills? Okay. And there is nothing wrong in accepting that I'm not the person best meant for AI. I'll give you a good example. Students from University of Santa Barbara or San Jose State University in Silicon Valley have often opted for not computer science programming skills, but they have opted because of their good communication skills, because of their ability to analytically apply their mind and dissect complex problem into simple solutions. They have got opportunities at Deloitte Consulting, Boston Consulting, KPMG. These are places where they are looking for more interactive skills along with the core skills that you have. And they are hiring people from universities because there is a shortage. As the technology is becoming more and more complex, there is a shortage of people who can take that complexity and make it very simple in terms of explaining to the wider community. Um, let's look at the career options, right? Since this is the MSc program focused, um, there are a lot of opportunities that have come into the market. You know, obviously there is a software engineering and developer market there, but there are opportunities where companies are looking for data visualization engineers. Okay. These are engineers who are working with as simple as taking an Excel spreadsheet and can you take lot of data and translate that into visualized footprints. This could be pie charts, this could be bar charts. From going from your Excel spreadsheet, look at Power BI, look at Tableau. These are all tools that are easily available in the market. You can go online, you can play with them. It doesn't require a lot of programming, but what it requires is, are you able to look at the data, understand the pattern, and can you translate the pattern into an outcome? Okay. So that's sort of the huge opportunity in the data visualization activity. There is huge opportunity in quality. So if you look at companies like ChatGPT, companies like Anthropic, and many of these companies who are now very successful LLM model companies, and if you are using any of them, you will always find there is at the very bottom, there are two icons. There is a thumbs up and there is a thumbs down, which what that means is if ChatGPT gave you an answer, they want you to give feedback. Was the answer good enough and relevant, or was the answer not good enough and non-relevant? Why that is important is this human feedback to the models are very important. There are a lot of companies right now who are hiring data quality engineers. Okay. There is no need for coding, there is no need for programming. But what is most needed from those engineering teams is, can you identify the anomalies in the data? So if you're given tons of data, can you find which is good data, which is bad data? Because data, as you all know, if it is bad data, garbage in, garbage out. So there is huge opportunity right now where people, companies basically want to hire data quality engineers. And obviously the MSc program supports that, right? Problem solving skills, analytical skills, technical skills. These are the skills that you need to reflect in your resume. And if you love explaining and applying technology, there is a lot of opportunity about pre-sales engineer. Okay. So what is the role of a pre-sales engineer? Pre-sales engineer's job is to basically take the technology and show how it works. Okay. Let's take an example of Tableau, for example, or Power BI, or any of these data model tools, the pre-sales engineer's job is to, if you are going to a pharmaceutical company, you want to show the data of the pharmaceutical company. If you are going to a finance company, you want to show the data of a finance company. So I think there is a opportunity that has been created right now in the marketplace where engineers are no longer sitting behind the desk developing. They are actually contributing to the sales life cycle because the sales has become technical and the sales has become complicated. Solution engineering is other one important opportunity here, including the product and marketing. And what this needs is communication and understanding of the use cases. Okay. Any questions so far before I get to the next slides? Okay. I think I wish somebody would have told me to do this when I was your age. Okay. I was naive. I actually took what came my way. Okay. But I feel you all have a huge opportunity right now to step back and think through what you want to do in the next 10 years. And it's very hard to write this career goal because you must be thinking, I don't even have a job. I need to figure out how I'm going to pay my tuition or maybe pay my personal expenses. And Sanjay, what are you talking about 10 years down the road? But I think this is a very important exercise. And it goes back to the mindset slide that I talked about. If you know who you are going to be in the next 10 years, and if you can basically talk about it, imagine the body language with which you will go into interview. Imagine the clarity you will have in your thought process because you already know where you are going to be in the next 10 years. And of course, things will change and there will be course correction and life is never goes as planned. But having that clarity is extremely important. And that ties down to the type of work that fulfills you. The culture of working has really shifted. So imagine today, everybody is hybrid or everybody is working remote. So those days where you had friends or colleagues who are with you in the same office, helping you in your job, those days are gone. You're pretty much on your own. Okay. And if you're not sure about where you are going to be in the next few years, you won't be able to enjoy the job that you have joined. And if you don't enjoy the job, then you will be quitting or you will be laid off. And if you do that many times, it looks bad on the resume, and then you're automatically out of the job market. And the cycles in the industry are so frequent now that it's almost impossible to show a break in your resume unless it's relevant. So I encourage all of you to think through this exercise. It will not be an 1 hour job. It will take 1, 2, 3 days to figure that out. But if you figured that out, you will come across much more stronger in your communications for the job search. I put together some strategies to find the job openings. Okay. And the first one is obvious: go online on the job boards. You got Indeed, you got LinkedIn, you got other career sites. But I think there is a huge opportunity, what I call it as the guerrilla tactics, right? Because everybody is applying to the job that is advertised. Then how do you get in front of the line, and how do you reach that hiring manager beyond just the career job sites? So here are few tips that you should probably take seriously in your job search. The first part is looking at alumni and professional groups. It is important, right? You need to tap into the alumni loop as well as the professional groups. What I mean by that is 3, 4 weeks ago, we, at Rombi, we had held a seminar here in the Bay Area talking about our technology. And in the audience of about 50, there were about 5, 6, 7 job seekers. Okay. Now, you would imagine among the thousands and thousands of people that are applying through the online portal for a job at Rombi, there were 5, 6 of them who thought it will be good to participate in the company seminars and webinars and get to know and learn about the company. And by doing so, you are now in front and center of the hiring manager. So I strongly encourage you to go in your community, whether it's online or in person, to start participating in a lot of these forums. And these forums are very important. A, because when you tell the people around you that you're looking for a job, those people actually will help you. You will find them, they referring, hey, I heard that Google has a job fair tomorrow, or I heard Boeing is hiring and they are having a job fair in Southern California. So you need to be out there, you need to be front and center, not just applying online. My third point is introductions, introductions, introductions. What I mean by that is every person has 10 very good and very deep friendships. Okay. Dr. Bin has 10 friends. I have 10 friends. Imagine if you had 10 friends and your 10 friends had 10 friends, you are talking about 100 people you can reach. Now, many times we make a very big mistake. The mistake that we make is when we go to a friend, we say, hey, I'm looking for a job. I know you know somebody in NVIDIA. Can you help me or connect me with that person? Absolutely the wrong move. The reason it is a wrong move, A, because it's too broad of a request. It's like we telling some of our relatives that we don't like, right? Hey, why don't you visit us sometime during Christmas? We actually don't want that person to join us for Christmas, but we are obligated because he or she is a relative. So similarly, when you want introductions, ask for introductions very crisply and empower that person who is going to make the introduction with a one paragraph summary of yourself, what you're looking for, so that all they have to do is forward that summary, that information that you have created to the introducer. And if you do that meticulously 100 times, which is your 10 friends and their 10 friends, your hit rate is going to be 9 to 11%. And this is not me speaking, this is proven strategies and proven skills. Okay. Many times you will also find your friend asking you, go to the website of an NVIDIA and tell me which job you're looking for or which job is interesting to you and send me the link. So introductions is also hard work. So when somebody, I think Q Duan talked about spending 3 hours in a day. It's not good enough, because if you are going and seeking introductions, you need to first understand the company, you need to understand the person, you need to go to the company's website and understand what they're hiring for, you need to understand that one paragraph summary that you will write has to be extremely relevant to that job opening. Most often students basically write a very generic introduction that does not align or connect with the job description. And most times if that happens, even though he's your best friend, the introduction will not go far away because you have not connected with the job description. So there is a lot of work that needs to go in. I also outlined industry meetups and webinars. So go to meetup.com, go to some of these Everbright. There are a lot of these communities where they talk about specific topics. So if you are interested in supply chain tech, you will find a group or forum that meets on a bi-weekly or a monthly basis, to discuss technology. You need to plug yourself and start networking. And these forums, these meetups, these webinars are exactly some of the opportunities to basically be part of. Now, when you are a part of a meetup or you are part of a webinar, don't be a passive listener. You need to show yourself, and you need other people to identify yourself, right? So one of the techniques that I have used is, I will attend a webinar, and during a question answer session, I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to introduce myself. This is Sanjay Sharma from XYZ. I'm in the job market, but here's the question for you, Mr. Speaker or Mrs. Speaker. And if you do that 9, 10 times in the forums, people will start recognizing you. People will start recognizing your frequent attendee into some of these meetups and webinars. Um, the other point that I want to make to you, which is often not done, is engage on social media. And what I mean by engage, so let's take, for example, I want to apply, again, going back to, I want to apply to a job opportunity in NVIDIA. And let's say I go online and start identifying the people that are working for NVIDIA that are relevant to my job interest. I will basically make a connect, and I will start following them. And every time they are going to make a post, I'm going to like it and I'm going to comment on it. What does that do? If you start commenting on the post of that person day on day, week on week, that person is now starting to identify you. And that basically brings an online trust between the hiring manager and you, the job applicant. That basically puts you on top of the queue when you are going to apply for a job. And most often, students fail to do this. So going back to why 3 hours is not good enough, you need 8+ hours, because the people who are seriously looking for a job are spending a lot of time following their hiring managers on Twitter and LinkedIn, and start participating in topics of interest for that person. Um, Cold outreach works. Please get a LinkedIn subscription account where you can send in mails. And when you send in mails, you can identify the people who are hiring. And then instead of sending them or going through a job board, you can, if you know the hiring manager, you can send them an email through LinkedIn. And if your interest is displayed genuinely in that write-up, that hiring manager is going to respond to you. There are times where people have reached out to me, and I've taken that resume and given it to our HR, and HR has run the process. So many times, instead of going directly to our HR, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of it, it is better to go to the hiring manager, and the hiring manager sending your resume to the HR, which carries much more weight than you simply applying to jobs at nvidia.com. I also feel there is an opportunity to start looking at doing informational interviews. So I'll give you some very interesting techniques. You can send to your hiring manager, hey, I'm doing a podcast on CMMI and its impact of this methodology on SaaS software development. And I would like 30 minutes of your time for you to contribute your views on this topic. Now, when you start doing that topic-based outreach, you will find that you have a high rate of success where the hiring manager is connecting with you. So these are some techniques, these are some strategies. It needs to be run like a cookie cutter approach, okay? Um, consistency is important. You need to put your schedule in place. You need to say every day, I'm going to reach out to 5 people. I'm going to study them. I'm going to study their interest. I'm going to study their background. I'm going to build online relationships. And if you do that for 30 days, you have 150 people that you know online, and they would probably know of you because you're frequently connecting, commenting, and collaborating with them online. Any questions so far? Okay. Common mistakes in finding the job openings, right? So we talked about that relying only on job boards is not the best strategy. Using generic resumes and cover letters. I think this is a recipe for big failure. Okay. Um, Resumes has to tie into the job description, and don't send 100 resumes in a day. Send the 8 resumes, but it has to be high quality and completely connected or closer to your job description. Now you would ask, hey, I don't even have an experience. I want to apply for an AI job, but I don't have the experience. In those cases, identify the coursework that you have taken in your master's program and any of the projects that you have done, and try to align those coursework to that job description. Okay. Um, and people can see this. People can see you have taken the courses that are relevant to your passion, to your interest. I think the third point is also very underserved. Every time we send a resume and we don't get a response, we think we have not been selected. And I think that's the wrong approach. You need to follow up, not follow up one time, but 2 times and 3 times and 7 times and 10 times and 11 times, because persistence is a quality that is completely underappreciated. And imagine if you have a job opening and 3,000 applicants have applied, but there are only 3 who are constantly following up. What happens? The person on the other side will either send you a message saying, shut up, I don't want to hear from you, or they will finally respond to you what decision they have made and if you are in consideration or not. So follow-up is extremely important in the job search field. Use emails or email clients where you can see if the email was read or not. Okay. So now imagine you're following up. I'm sending an email to Dr. Bin saying, hey, I applied to this position. What is the status? And if I send it through certain email clients, I can know Dr. Bin read it. And now he has read it, but chose not to respond. I can send another email in 7 days. I can send third email in 14 days. And you change the body of the email. You're asking the same question, but you change the body of the email. And that is extremely important because persuasion is a skill that employers like a lot. I talked about networking opportunities, but the last one is the most important one, failing to research the company thoroughly. Okay. Now, you would think, what is the role of a biology major in applying to NVIDIA? Or what is the role of a quality engineer in Intel? Okay, you worked, you trained all your life in a software field. Now you're applying to a hardware company. What does that mean? I think what is missing here, and most often students fail to do, is research the company. And the researching the company is not only going on the website, but actually going into their investor section. In the investor section, you will often find the company's presentation, and that presentation talks about how the company wants to grow in the next 12 months, 24 months, and the 36 months. And if you know how the company is going to grow, you would know where are these hiring opportunities. So for example, if they are going to expand, opening more stores, let's say Home Depot, they're going to expand opening more stores. That means the job opportunities are going to be more in the stores. But if Home Depot says they are going to build online applications so that people can buy online, you know your job is going to be in e-commerce. Your job is going to be in cloud platform and architectures. So researching the company is extremely important. And I cannot tell you enough how this will feed into building your resume, and this will build into doing your follow-ups. Okay. So if you were to go into the mind of an HR recruiter, they have only 6 to 10 seconds to select your resume. And I'm saying this because we do this here all day long. They are looking at 600, 700 resumes, okay, for a position. Of that 600, how can you be in the top 5? Okay. So what are they looking for? First, they are looking for relevance. Okay. So they open a resume. Your resume has to have relevance experience or relevance information compared to the job description that's been posted. Okay. So what they are thinking is when they open the resume, does this candidate clearly match the job requirements? Okay. And it's a scroll. It's a it's a scroll from top to bottom, and it's a scroll from bottom to top. Okay. And in that two scrolls, you need to make sure you are selected for the next round. The second thing they're looking for is impact over task. What I mean by that is, does the candidate list out the task that show real achievement? Many times I have seen resumes where students have called themselves as junior data scientist. Now imagine if you were a hiring manager, you're getting a resume of a student who has probably 1 or 2 years of experience and calls himself a scientist. That resume is going to be thrown in the dustbin. So having real experience, reflecting that real experience is extremely important. And what they are looking for is quantifiable result. So if you wrote a Java program for sorting, a supplier list or sorting a customer list, what was the impact of your work to the overall business? Many times people are writing, I developed this iOS app to register people for events, as an example. And you wrote that because that's what you did in your job. But if you don't tie it to the benefit of your work, then you have not identified or correlated your contribution to the business. And in today's world, when the world is moving so fast, the industry is moving so fast, the companies are looking for people who can contribute to their top line, which is revenue, or their bottom line, which is their profit. And everything in between is very, very gray. I mean, if you look at Airbnb, there are no product managers. Okay. If you look at Google, there are no engineering managers. This word manager is no longer relevant, because earlier people needed managers to manage a team, but now they need managers who are hands-on. In addition to managing the team, they need to be a player and they need to be a coach at the same time. Let's talk about the third point, stability and focus. Very important. If you switched in your master's program of 2 years, you have switched your major, or if you had 2, 3 years of experience, before you started your master's program and you're now changing gears, these are some of the red flags. Okay, let me give you an example. You worked in a travel agency, so you went to school in India or China or the US, and you got a bachelor's in engineering. And then after that, you started your first job in a travel agency. And then you came to California State Fullerton and started your master's program. And now you're looking for an AI job. This story doesn't connect itself. Okay. And that's again a red flag for the HR manager. Okay. So make sure you have consistent experience and relevant roles reflected in your resume. Culture fit matters. Okay. So where companies are going with, as I said, there are no more offices. People are working across the globe. Your teams are going to be distributed across teams. So culture assessment is very important. So when you're putting your resume, you need to start using words where you have worked with a multicultural team. You have worked and you have participated in international public and private forums. These are indicators that you are a culture fit in a big company. Okay. And last but not the least is the professional presentation. Now, some people might say your resume has to be one pager. Some would say it needs to be two pager. I'm of the opinion that you need to have more on the resume than less, and specifically because we are coming all from the engineering background and not a used car sales resume, we can basically put a lot more meat in our resume, and it's okay to have two pages. But what's important is it easy to read? Is it can somebody basically identify your sections very clearly? You know, don't make it all jazzy and colorful like some of the resumes we have seen. Your font size should be enough because many times people are using a phone to look at your resume. So you need to really watch your fonts, the kind of typography you use, and the way you present online when things open up in an attachment, as well as on mobile media. Okay. Um, I have laid some things out here, but what's important is clear and concise summary. Okay, and there are some examples of this that I'll talk about. Uh, Highly relevant technical skills. Okay, when you say you have worked on Java, what version of Java have you worked on? If you say you're a Java, you worked on Java, the HR manager or the hiring manager will say you have no experience, because somebody who has really worked on Java, he will say Java 4.10.1. Okay. So calling out those technical skills are very important. Showcase your projects and achievements. And as I said, tailor each resume for the job posting. Keep it professional and well formatted. So let's look at some of these things, right? Good example and bad example, right? If you look at the left side, um, I'm talking about the objective. The first paragraph of your resume is all about what your objective of this job search is going to be. And if you read the left with the right, you will see how people who are very specific in their objectives will rise and have a higher chance of getting called for an interview. Okay. It has got years of experience. It talks about track record. It talks about how their work has either reduced the cost and improved the efficiency, and compare it with the right side. Okay. A hardworking engineer with a very generic, it's too boring. Okay. So your resume should start with a lot of excitement. Let's look at the skills section in your resume. If you look at the left side, it really calls out some of the key accomplishments, right? You're talking about Dockers, Kubernetes, Jenkins, Git, Six Sigma, lean manufacturing, agile. You're using a lot of these keywords that are very relevant to a 6-second person who is looking at it, says, I think this person is very relevant compared to look at the sections on the right side, right? Familiar with cloud computing. What does that mean? Okay, cloud computing on Azure, cloud computing on AWS, cloud computing on what? Right? So through these examples, I want to tell you that writing a resume is an extremely tedious and extremely laborious exercise. You can't do this in just 1 hour. Okay, let's look at something else here. This is a good example and a bad example. So a good example of project and achievements. Okay, this person on the left side, when you read that paragraph, it is very clear that this person has actually done the work. Okay, developed an e-commerce web application that handles 1,000+ transactions daily. Implemented, look at the words developed, look at the words implemented. Okay, compared to, if you look at the on the right side, the words are worked on an e-commerce platform, collaborated with a team. What does collaborated mean? Everybody does collaboration. Are you going to highlight collaboration in your resume? No, right? So again, these are examples of how you need to basically build your resume. Look at how a good example versus bad example. Okay, look at a job posting is for a software engineer with focus on Java and cloud technology. And if you look on the left side, look at this person's resume where the person has been very clear that they have 4 years, he or she has 4 years of Java and cloud experience, and really called out that he has specialized on scalable backend systems on AWS. And if you look at the skills, under the skills, if you look at programming, Java and Python, and if you look at cloud platforms, he has been very specific. If you look at AWS and within the brackets, it is EC2, Lambda, and S3. Now, what I'm trying to communicate through these examples, the more specific you are, the more authentic you will be in front of your hiring managers, in front of the HR managers, and everything else. This is something that I recommend you all use. We call it the job tracker, right? So this is a tool, okay? And you build your tool. But what is important is if you're sending 50, 60, 100 resumes, this will get out of hand very quickly. So now you got to manage this process. It's like the software life cycle. This is the job life cycle, okay? So here's an example of a Excel spreadsheet in that you should basically look at, the companies you applied for, the job positions, and let me see if I can use a pen here. The job link posting, the source, is it LinkedIn, is it referral, is it company website? Look at the job location. But what's important here is you need to start looking at aging. How many days since you applied? Okay. And if you're not tracking aging, then you're just throwing things in the dark and expecting somebody to come back to you. Okay. Because aging is directly tied to follow-ups. Okay. The other one that I like to track is, am I a fit? Okay. Now, if you're sending hundreds of resumes, you need to have, at a glance, you need to have your own dashboard saying, I applied to this. Do I feel I'm a fit or not? And if you're a fit, then you spend more time in doing follow-ups on those resumes you send than places where you were not a fit. Okay. I also like the ninth one. The ninth one is, what is that one key requirement, a notable requirement or a skill mentioned in the job description? Okay. Now, why that is important to track? Because now you start applying and you start identifying for every job what was that one key requirement that they had, you will start coming out with a pattern. Okay. 50-60% of the jobs maybe want machine learning. 50-60% of the jobs maybe want data quality engineering. Once you start understanding the pattern, you can now start taking advantage of that pattern and sign up for online courses, or you learn on YouTube videos of what that key requirement is, so that when you're going in front of the interviewer, you are sounding dangerous about the topic that was their requirement. Okay. um, of course, these are the ones that uh, keeps you healthy. But at any point of time, if you put this job tracker in place, now you know how much effort you have put in. And there are some people who will get a job by applying to 30 places, and there are some who will get a job applying to 300 places, right? What I want to communicate to you is, don't count the number of resumes, count the effectiveness of those resumes that are used in applying for a job. So that was my last slide. I obviously did not purposely want to cover how to interview. Maybe that's a separate topic um, and a session in itself. But hopefully, this gives you some color, nuts and bolts of a job search. And I'm open now to any burning questions that any of you may have.